Hello, and welcome to another episode of Vampire the Requiem, New York City. My name's Mike. I'll be your storyteller for tonight. And as always, I'm here with Robin. So I'll let Robin tell you who her character is and what tradition she is and anything else she wants to mention.
Hi, I'm Robin. I'm playing Winter Jameson. She is a vampire of the Diva Clan and Invictus Covenant, and she owns a vampire-themed nightclub in a goth nightclub in New York.
In the East Village area. And this is episode 4. Um, for we haven't played for a bit, and for those who may be tuning in for the first time, um, as she said, Winter owns a goth nightclub in the East Village. Um, she made contact with her Invictus rep. They've had some gangrel problems in the neighborhood, which is a little weird. In fact, you guys had to kill one because they killed one of your customers in line. Um, then a little bit later, you met their rep who came in looking for information, trying to get him free from uh, the Invictus who had transported him for questioning. But they didn't tell you where, so you couldn't help very much. Uh, Things in your nightclub had been picking up recently. Even the prince of the city had made contact and suggested that he was planning on stopping by, which is quite an honor for any vampire, no matter what affiliation they happen to be. And while things have been picking up club wise, your personal life has gotten a little more complicated, shall we put it, because you turned your first human, who happens to be your bouncer at the club, and So you and the bartender, Natalie, are trying to show him the ropes, teach him what he needs to know. And he's still trying to figure it all out because he's like, what? Uh, and you had been asked to investigate down at Washington Square Park uh, a body and see if it's related to all these subway drivers that had been being turned by the, at least you think, by the gangrel that you guys uh, battled with. The odd thing is the body in the park happened after the gangrel had been taken away.
Well, it was also a city worker, wasn't it? Not a subway driver, but it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it was a. He's probably there picking up trash and cleaning the park and such. Uh, and just to make things a little more interesting, on your way back from the neighborhood market upon purchasing some blood to restock the fridge, you had met the nice couple who ran the market. Nice elderly couple, if you can call vampires elderly, period. Um, you noticed about halfway between the market and back to your house, you had noticed somebody standing in the shadows just sort of watching what you were up to. So, um, when you get back to your house with the blood, are you going to mention this person?
Yeah, actually, we last week I already did. I mentioned
Uh,
it to them.
so, you mentioned that there's somebody who seemed to be watching you. Um, had you guys come up with any theory about what you wanted to do about it, if anything?
Not yet.
Okay. So, you guys um, wake up for the evening, or at least you and Natalie do. You notice from the down the hall in the guest room where Dexter's staying, he is sounds like he's having a nightmare. He's rolling around and his voice is getting louder. yet what he's saying isn't really intelligible, but it sounds like he's having a nightmare. Uh, so what do you and Natalie want to do?
Well, we need to get him up anyway because we need to go to the club. So I'll go knock on the guest room door and ask if everything's all right in there.
And you hear uh, what sounds like a crash, like he knocked something, like he was startled awake and knocked the alarm clock off the nightstand or whatever. Uh, and he basically, in a little bit shaken but gruff voice, tells you to come in. And you do that. And he is sitting on the edge of the bed. And the his alarm clock is on the floor. Um, he's like, is it time to go already?
Not quite, but it's time to get up. You okay? Were you having a nightmare or something?
Yeah, my brain is still having problems processing this whole vampire thing,
Yeah, that's normal.
especially after yeah, the voluntary feeding thing we did the other
Yeah.
night. It's a little odd.
Yes, well, again, it's better than feeding on cats.
Well, and about the time you say that, you see Natalie walk in the door. She says, I haven't fed on cats in 10 years at least. I'm gonna teach you guys how to hunt properly in case, um, the clinic's not open or something happens or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to know how to do that.
Uh, I've done it, but it's kind of hit or miss. It's hard sometimes.
Well, you just gotta work on finding a better hunting ground.
Yes.
Uh, in fact, after the club closes, excuse me, um, after we do this little investigation we're supposed to do, it would be the perfect opportunity to show you guys how to do this. Even at
That
th-
works for me.
even at 3 in the morning, there's bound to be somebody in the park. They just don't know that their night isn't going to end quite like they thought it was.
Right.
But I guess that's for later. We should all get ready and head to the club. In case there's anything we need to do before we open the place tonight. And she says, oh, by the way, the alcohol order did come in, so we're doing pretty good with that now.
Oh, good. Yeah, we needed to restock that.
Um, and with that, she looks at the two of you and goes, uh, if you if you two are all right with it, I'm gonna be the first one in the bathroom.
Oh, no problem.
So she heads off to start getting ready. And he's just sort of sitting there. He's like, did you have this kind of problem in the beginning?
Everybody has this kind of problem in the beginning. Yes. Come on, let's go get some blood. Get a cup of blood in the kitchen.
He's like, he's like chuckles a bit and goes, you don't know how wrong that sounds.
It'll stop sounding wrong after a while, trust
But
me.
he does get up and follow you into the kitchen. And then
And I'll tell him after you after you take your turn in the bathroom and get cleaned up, if you want, I'll give you some pointers on using foundation to make you look a little less dead. I mean, that's what Nat and I do.
nah, hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you a little more human color. Yeah. You should probably use mine. Might be a little light for your skin tone, but if you use Nat's, it'll look like blackface, and we're not going for that.
Yeah, that wouldn't help me look any more alive than I already do.
No.
No,
But yeah, I can give you some
hmm,
pointers on that.
never thought I'd have to buy makeup. He's your standard biker guy. The thought of actually using makeup never crossed his mind in his life, except for maybe Halloween or something. But um, so for the next few minutes, you guys sip on your coffee mugs full of your perf- preferred blood type and chat mainly about club stuff. And after a bit, Natalie walks back out. She's completely dressed and made up, and she's ready to head for the club. And so do you head in first, or do you let Dexter go next?
I'll let Dex go next.
So Natalie is standing at the fridge by this point, pouring herself a cup. Turns back around to you and goes, "So what's up with Dexter this morning?"
He's still trying to get a handle on this. He was having bad dreams. I didn't ask what they were about. He didn't tell me, but he said he's still trying to figure out this whole vampire thing. I told him it's normal.
Well, it's only been 3 or 4 days. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Takes you longer than that to figure out how to use your iPhone when you get one. Yeah. He'll adjust eventually. He'll have to.
Yeah. And he seems to be, it's like, yeah, he's confused and everything, but it's no more than any of the rest of us, as far as I know. I mean, he's not displaying anything we should be worried about, really. It's just the normal sort of confusion that
Yeah.
we've all gone through.
And he's got the advantage of us to help him where, 30 years ago when I went through this, it was a whole lot harder because we were hiding a whole lot more.
Yeah, and I sort of blew it with my mentors by telling my parents I was a vampire, and they abandoned me. So I had to figure out most of the stuff on my own.
Yeah. And we definitely didn't have places like the club where we could all hang out and such.
Right, or probably not a corner store where you could go buy bottles of blood
Yeah,
either.
we had to hunt. She says, "Oh, by the way, if I ever end up running into that human that tried to get you arrested, she's gonna disappear."
I wouldn't spend too much time looking for her if she did.
So, but I'm hoping our little adventure tonight after the club closes helps Dexter uh, get more into vampire mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just hope whoever was watching me last night isn't around, or if they are, hopefully they can at least make themselves known to us and tell us why we're being followed.
Yeah, this is all.
That gave me the creeps, and for a vampire to say that is.
Yeah, this is all kind of weird. First, you have the gangrel problem. then this guy in the park, and now there's somebody watching you. Don't know what in the
Yeah, it's
world's going
probably all
on.
related.
What now?
It's probably all related.
Oh, probably. Well, after we do our little investigation, we can get a hold of Invictus and let them know. And we should also let them know that somebody's trailing you if this keeps going.
Oh, absolutely. So, probably something Tanner should know about.
Yeah, he might be able to send help if necessary. What good is your local Invictus rep if they can't help you out when you need it?
Especially since we've agreed to help them out with
Yeah.
things.
Then, when you talked to the prince on the phone, did he give you a date that he might show up, or is it just, I'll just pop in when I have a minute, or what?
Yeah, it was more of the uh when I have a moment type of thing. He said he had some stuff to take care of. And honestly, I'd prefer him not to pop in until we've got the RIP section all up and running. Cause
Well, yeah, that would be nicer for him. By the way, I wonder how that's coming along now. Check when we get there.
yeah, I was gonna say, I suppose we'll find out when we get there.
And about this time, uh, Dexter walks back into the kitchen. Uh, he's completely dressed. He's wearing his leather jacket and his boots and his jeans, and he looks like he normally does. Yes, well, I guess we're just waiting on winter and then we can head out the door.
Okay, so I'll go into the bathroom to take my shower and stuff.
And so you get ready. It doesn't take long. You have all your goth work clothes laid out, so it doesn't take you long to get ready. And when you're all dressed, you finish your mugs of blood, and you head out the door to hop in Natalie's Tesla, head to the club. Um, give me a, what would it be? What, I wonder if the book has a character sheet somewhere in it. 'Cause, Um, what, What I want would be a perception roll, but they don't call that perception in this. Um, is there an awareness skill?
No. There's intelligence, wit, presence. No. There's investigation. Um,
Uh,
one.
Cause I'm looking at the character creation thing. Give me an intelligence and wits roll.
Intelligence and wit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably the closest thing.
Okay. Okay. So I got nine, seven, two nines, a seven, and three ones.
Ow.
So the three ones kind of cancel everything
Yeah,
out.
you fail. So you guys drive down the street. In fact, yeah, it's just a basic failure. Um, and within 5 minutes, you get to the club, and Natalie pulls the Tesla into her assigned parking space, and the three of you hop out of the car. Uh, and as you walk up to the door of the club, there's this old gray-haired man in a bit of a tattered gray suit, standing by the door. He says, "Is any one of you the owner of this place?
I am
Um, I need to talk to you
about what?
about the body in the park."
How did you know we knew about that?
Information and rumors spread quickly in this neighborhood, especially with this club being so close to the park. I imagined that you might have something to do with it.
Oh, I've got nothing to do with the dead body, but
He said,
so
he says, oh, I know.
so it sounds like you might know something. What would that be?
Uh, the body in the park was my grandson. I was there when it happened.
So you know who killed him.
You could call it a who if you like.
Or what?
That's closer to it. Uh, the rumor around the neighborhood is you've been asked to check into this.
We have. I still don't know how things spread that quick this quickly around here, but yes, we've been asked to check into it.
Uh, I will take you to him, but I would also say you need to do this tonight.
We were planning on it after my club closes for the night. We were going to go, do some investigating in the park as we'd been asked to.
Uh, because I've hidden the body.
I, I was told it was in the morgue.
You'd be surprised what stories can be made up with the right amount of money.
Well, I guess that makes it easier for us to not have to try to convince the uh, people that work in the morgue to let us see the body when we're not cops. I was a little worried about that.
After the ambulance people saw the body, they didn't want anything else to do with it. So the coroner was more than happy to have that particular body not show up in his morgue. Uh, yeah,
Well, can you meet us here at 3:30 when we close up, and you can take us all there?
I can do that. Uh, I don't know what kind of things you've experienced before, but this isn't one of them.
Now, I'm assuming this guy is human, right?
He looks human.
So I don't really want to tell him what experiences I've had before. So
Well,
like, okay.
he looks like a man in a human in his 70s. He's an elderly man. Uh, yeah. He looks up at the sign on your club, chuckles slightly, goes, I may not be one of you, but I know what I saw.
One of me? You mean a woman?
uh, a club with that name, a human is not going to run.
Plus, I am actually literally wearing a T-shirt that says "vampire" across the front in like red glittery letters
Yeah.
as a joke.
So,
Because, like I said, this is the kind of only place I can be
right.
myself.
He's like, I've been around long enough to know that there are other things besides humans that wander these streets at night.
So I'm gonna ask him point blank. I'm like, was it one of us that killed him?
Uh, Not unless you can do magic.
Personally, no, but I imagine there are some that can. I don't know. That's something I'd have to ask Tanner about, come to think of it.
Because that's what killed him. But luckily, something happened to interrupt them and they left. Think it was the siren for the ambulance. They really didn't seem like they wanted to be found. You know, uh, I will uh, meet you at 3:30.
Okay.
basically right here, and I will take you to where I have the body stored.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Okay, and with that, he turns and walks away. Didn't give you his name, didn't ask for yours, didn't tell you his grandson's name, nothing.
He may already know mine. He seems to know quite a bit.
No.
And he knew we'd been asked to look into this.
Rumors
Still
spread.
not sure how.
Rumors spread as quickly amongst vampires as they do amongst humans. And you run a nightclub, which means there's a lot of people in and out. So, not surprising. Uh, Dexter goes, I know exactly how that guy feels. Because he's suddenly in the middle of something he doesn't understand.
Yes, well, I have the feeling we're all in the middle of something more than we thought we were.
Natalie, like, yeah, just one more layer on top of what's been going on already. Dexter turns as he grabs his clipboard and says, oh, we thought the gangrel thing was weird.
Yeah, I still think with all this is probably connected to that somehow.
Hmm. Seems like the East Village is a busy area, and not in a good way.
Right.
And with that, he picks up his clipboard and his pen with the VIP list on it and heads to his station by the front door. What do you and Natalie do?
Well, I'll leave her to make sure everything's, ready at her bar and stuff. And I'm going to go upstairs to check on the progress of the RIP section.
Um, okay. Natalie starts unpacking boxes of bottles of alcohol and putting them on the wall behind the bar. You walk upstairs, and even though you know this used to be your apartment, you couldn't tell it. Uh, there's a large coffin standing in the corner, which you're familiar with because it was yours. Um, there's purple and black alternating neon lights that run across the ceiling. Uh, Sort of grayish, almost marble looking tables grayish with black streaks running through them. But if you touch it, you know it's not actual marble. They would be marble tables and chairs. Would one be too hard to get a hold of and too heavy to move?
I was gonna say way too heavy to move
Yeah,
and probably extremely expensive
yeah.
too.
But they do look like that. And the carpet is a, a deep blood red color. And, and the foreman of the construction crew walks out of what used to be your bathroom and goes, "We're almost done here. It might take one more night or one more day, and then we'll be done."
Great, that's faster than I was anticipating. It looks good.
Thank you. We've gotten lucky. We haven't had um, too many real delays. So, and we're actually under budget. So, but you should be able to, if we get done tomorrow, you should be able to officially open it within a day or two.
Oh, fantastic.
I imagine you want to advertise it a little bit first.
Yes, we'll I'll talk to Nat and Dex about that and we'll come up with something.
Okay. Well, check with me tomorrow night when you guys come in, and I'll let you know if we're done or not.
Okay.
Uh, with that, he's like, "Hope you have a good rest of your night. I'm headed,
Thanks.
I'm headed home." Uh, and he turns and walks away because he, in fact, is human, and
Right.
it's getting late for him. So,
Yeah, I wanted specifically to hire humans so they could get it done during the day.
yeah, that way it wouldn't uh, impede your customers. So, and as you walk back downstairs, you notice that Natal has started the music, and you look up the front, and there's a couple of people standing in a line in front of Dexter. Uh, and it's almost 9 o'clock, so you gonna do anything else before you unlock the doors and start
Uh,
letting people in?
I'll do a quick, walk through and make sure the tables are clean and everything. And
Yeah. Hmm. So actually give me a straight dex roll for that. In fact, he'll give me a dex roll and a um, invest dex and investigation roll.
Okay. Got an 8, a 2, a 3, and a 1. That
So,
would be another fail.
so you go through cleaning the table, and everything seems to look fine to you. Uh, so you unlock the doors. Uh, you give Dex a nod, and he lets the two people that are standing in front of him walk in the door. And they head straight for the bar where, Natalie is busy pouring drinks. Uh, so, are you going to get a hold of Tanner before or after you go with this old man to the park?
Probably after.
Um, okay. Well, over the next hour or so, the place filled up, and there are probably by 10 o'clock there are probably 50, 60 people in the club. Uh, and you notice that sitting in the far back is the man in the fancy three-piece suit who came in to talk to you about the gangrel problem a few days ago. I'm looking at my notes. I know I wrote his name down.
Oh, Lucian Caldwell.
Yeah, Lucian Caldwell. There we go. He's sitting by himself in the corner, just sipping on what looks like a vampire version of an old fashioned in a tumbler glass. You gonna go over talk to him more.
Yeah, I'll go over and just say hello.
She's, he says, uh, hello, Miss Jameson. I wanted to check with you if you had any more gangrel issues since we spoke last.
Uh, that I'm aware of? No. Last night when I came out of the corner store, had the feeling I was being watched, but I couldn't tell you for sure whether it was a gangrel or even another vampire at all. It was just, I had the feeling somebody was watching me.
Hmm, it seems odd.
And I don't tell him that I had sort of thought that maybe it was him. I'm not going to tell him that, but I'm kind of thinking that in the back of my mind.
Uh, I just wanted to let you know that the gangrel you had issues with won't be giving you issues anymore.
Okay. Is he dead?
No, he's been assigned to other things. He, oddly enough, Invictus actually did me a favor. He was much more compliant by the time they got done with him.
Uh,
So, okay.
Hopefully he won't be giving uh, subway drivers any more problems either.
Yeah, it's not good for our kind to be that out in the open, you might say.
No, not at all. As I'm wearing a t-shirt that freaking says vampire on
Well, that fits within the club.
yeah.
Yeah, he says, human. I've even seen human teenagers wear those. Uh,
Exactly. The hardest part of the whole trying to fit in thing is trying to smile so you don't show your fangs.
well, yes, that, yeah, that takes quite a bit of practice, actually.
Yes.
And he's, as you guys are having this conversation, he's doing it in a very pronounced southern accent, like he's from Georgia or something, which has you wondering what in the world he's doing in New York City. Uh, but he finishes his drink and puts the glass down and says, I gave you my card if you have any more gangrel trouble. Please get a hold of me.
No problem.
Um, Nice to talk to you again. And he takes your hand, squeezes it, and heads out the door. Stops and says something to Dexter and walks away. Um, at which point, Dexter steps inside and says, "You guys really have to help me with that makeup thing. Even, even this guy noticed." So, and Dexter was a human the first time this guy was in there. So there's a bit of a change there.
Yes.
And the rest of the evening, rest of the night goes by fairly uneventful. It's uh, the clientele count is fairly steady. Dexter doesn't have any problems with anybody. Uh, and then about 1 in the morning, you look out the window and there's a tall, dark-skinned man in a very expensive Italian-looking silk suit. And he smiled at Dexter, and even from inside, you can tell how white his fangs are. And Natalie tries to get your attention, goes, "Prince alert."
Yes, I
That's
sort of picked up on that myself.
that's Cornelius right there. And he pats Dexter on the shoulder and walks in the door and walks straight up to you. "Hello, my name is Cornelius."
I'm Winter, owner of this establishment.
"Hello, miss. I think
Oh,
we've spoken on the phone."
yes, we have. Oh, would you like a drink? Natalie here can fix you up with anything you want.
Uh, that would be nice. Uh, he walks over to Natalie and she he told her what drink he wants and she makes it fairly easily. He walks back over to you. Um, I know I appeared without notice. Um, I was in the area. About 5 minutes later, you see Tanner walk in the door, somewhat flustered because he was supposed to be the prince's escort, and the prince basically ditched him. So,
I'll tell Cornelius. I'll be like, I apologize. My RIP section is not up and running yet. I've been told it'll only be a day or two. Uh, but once it is, you are guaranteed membership if you so choose to take me up on that.
uh, he like it's he sits at the nearest table, motions for Tanner to sit down. Uh, at which point Natalie brings Tanner his drink of choice, his Bloody Mary that he likes. He said, and Cornelius motions for you to sit down. He says, I like the music, the atmosphere is relaxed, which is nice. I may, in fact, take you up on that membership when it's ready, but that's not why I came here tonight. I know that I had asked you to check out things in the park.
Yes, we're going to do that after the club closes tonight.
Well, there'd been another incident in the park. That's why I was down this way.
You mean something else happened tonight?
Yes. Uh, Similar to what happened to the first body. Except this one seemed to be just a female jogger in the park. She's not a city employee or anything.
Oh,
She's just a random human. I'm really starting to wonder what's going on
yes, something obviously is.
because first we have the subway issue. Now we have random bodies being found in the park. And at this point, Natalie speaks up and is like, yeah, just last night somebody was in the shadows watching her.
Yes.
And you see Tanner look visibly upset when she said when Natalie says that. And he's as polite as possible. He turns to you and goes, why didn't you call me?
Well, I would have if I could have been sure it was a vampire. I don't know. It could have been anybody.
He said yes, but we like to keep track of these things because we don't want the humans to know that you're not. And
Well, and if I'd been watched again, I definitely would have told you, but coming here, I didn't get any sense of that.
okay, maybe it was a one-off thing, but
Well, I'll certainly let you know if it happens again, I promise.
so we uh, at that point, um, Cornelius continues, goes, um, when you do when you do go to the park tonight or this morning, do it as inconspicuously as possible because with a human body now involved, you're gonna get, police and
Right.
all of that. I thought I should come down and tell you before you went over there. I didn't want you to wander into the park and get surprised because the last thing we need is to have the police think you had anything to do with it.
Right. No.
So, um, please keep me informed on anything you might find out.
Oh, of course. Yes.
You can either go through Dexter or Tanner, or you can call me directly if necessary. Um, I'm usually near my phone from sundown to sun up, basically.
Okay.
Uh, and I do believe when we were chatting earlier, I mentioned the party.
I don't remember whether you did or not, actually. You might have. I can't remember.
I talk to so many people in a day or a night. Uh, yes, I'm throwing a party. Uh, I'm renting out the top floor of the Empire State Building and throwing a party.
Oh. Oh, what's the occasion?
Uh, it's my 400th birthday. Yeah. Normally, people have other people throw parties for birthdays. Nobody that I would have throw a party for me is still alive, so I do it myself. Um, Besides, that way I know who's going to be there and who's not.
Right. And when will this be taking place?
Uh, he pulled out his phone, hits a button, and you hear this, you know, automated phone voice. It's like, your birthday party is planned for a month from tonight. If you wish to change that, you know. So he says, uh, a month from tonight, apparently. Uh, I would like to have the three of you, meaning you, Natalie, and Dexter, to come to my birthday party.
Oh, that would be an honor.
I know it would mean you would have to close the club for the night.
Right. Well, a month is enough notice that I could do that quite easily.
Uh, so he pulled out his phone again and adds the three of you to the guest list. And he says, if anything comes up between now and then, please let me know.
Well,
And
and I can't help adding. So does that mean for that night it's the Vampire State Building?
he chuckled. He's like, okay. Actually, not really, because there'll be other beings there. Not necessarily human. And not necessarily vampire. It may be odd, but I actually have a few werewolf friends
Ah,
that I've made over the last 400 years. Everybody thinks we hate each other, but it's not necessarily so. At least not all of us, anyway. So,
I've never met a werewolf myself. Actually, I kind of thought they were myths. I didn't.
nope. They're about as much of a myth as we are. Uh, and with that, he drains the end of his drink. He goes, well, I have other business to attend to. Um, and he takes your hand and bows slightly and says, very nice to meet you, Winter.
It's
I,
nice to meet you as well.
I hope I see you at my birthday party. And please, like I said earlier, whatever you find at the park, please let me know.
If we find anything, I will. Yes.
Because starting to think we need to have a contingency plan here. Because there's definitely something going on in this neighborhood. Uh, he turns to Tanner, goes, keep me up to date on what's going on in this neighborhood, and including when the RIP section opens here. You see Tanner bow slightly. He's like, most definitely. And, and Tanner walks up to you and he's like, think we need to be in more communication because there's obviously something going on around here.
Yes, there is. In fact, Lucian was in here again earlier today asking me about gangrels, and told
Hmm,
him I hadn't had any other issues with them.
hmm. Yeah, we let the guy go. He wasn't.
Yes, Lucian mentioned something about him being reassigned, whatever that means.
Oh, really? He wasn't in good shape by the time Invictus was done with him.
Yes, Lucian made some allusion to that as well, but
Hmm,
he sounded grateful for it rather than angry.
really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he actually said surprisingly Invictus did him a favor in that way.
Hmm. I'll have to talk to my superior and Invictus and let him know that Lucian is still hanging around because we really don't know why he's here.
Right, and he seems, the way he keeps asking me if I've had any trouble, more trouble with the gangrels, it almost seems like he expects me to.
While this conversation is going on, Cornelius is talking to Natalie, and you hear Cornelius ask Natalie if she would be willing to give his staff some pointers on bartending because he was particularly impressed with the drink she gave him. And he's like, my staff can't do that. Uh, so you could drop by maybe one night after work before the party next month. teach my staff a few things, I would appreciate it. And just as he's saying that, he hears the tail end of what you and Tanner are talking about with the gangrel and Lucian. And he's like, yeah, that guy seems shady to me. I've already got people looking into him.
Yes, I'm personally trying to tell him as little as possible when he asks me things. I don't want to give him too much information about anything because he does seem a little shady.
Yeah, that's probably best. I
And
want
I,
to.
I look at Tanner and I'm like, in fact, I think he might have been the one watching me.
Tanner's like, hmm, maybe I'll have somebody start watching him. We have Invictus members that do that sort of thing. And the prince is like, if you ever see anybody watching you again, get a hold of Tanner.
I will.
Because this is get, seems to be getting deeper by the night. And with that, the two of them turn and head toward the door. You see Tanner actually open the door for Cornelius, and the two of them walk out into the parking lot. As the door opens, you glance out and you see the old man just sort of standing by the door, trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. And you're wondering why he's here a couple hours early. When Cornelius and Tanner leave, Natalie gets up from the table, stands next to you, and goes, you could probably do a whole lot worse than Cornelius. He is kind of cute, and he's a prince, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah, she does sort of fit the tall, dark, and handsome, don't want to say stereotype, but the mold.
She's like, yeah, works for humans, works for vampires too. Apparently, I have a bartending class to teach.
He did seem more approachable than I was expecting of the prince of the city. He didn't seem, he wasn't quite as intimidating as I thought he would be.
Dexter walks in and says, yeah, seemed like a pretty nice guy to me. He likes sports. Eh, who knew? Uh,
I'm sure he has lots of interests.
Uh,
Been around 400 years.
yeah, I guess you do pretty much a little bit of everything in 400 years. Natalie goes, he was being nice on purpose. I've heard rumors about when he wasn't so nice. He was being nice to you on purpose.
Well, we all have that streak in us, don't we? The not so nice streak.
Yeah, but being 400 years old, he probably knows several tricks we haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah, true.
So, uh, so the next hour and a half goes by. You realize it's 3 o'clock. And after the last customer is escorted out of the club by Dexter because poor guy's having trouble walking at this point. Um, you see the old man just standing there still.
So I'll lock up and say, well, we're ready. And would this be a good time to take a quick break?
It would. You're about to head over to the park and do all that stuff.
Right.
um, so we'll take a 20-minute break and then we'll see how the park goes. Uh, hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Vampire the Requiem, title to be added in post production. Um, as we left on break, you guys were closing up the club for the night, and the old man was standing out in the parking lot waiting for you. So the four of you um, start to walk across the parking lot, although you realize there's an issue. What are you going to do with Dexter's bike? And what are you going to do with Natalie's car?
Well, we're going to come back here after we're done with what we're doing so they can just. Natalie's car can stay in the parking spot. Yeah, I'm not sure about Dex's bike though.
He says, I've got an idea.
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. We all took our car. Isn't his bike in the
Uh,
parking garage at our apartment?
oh, yeah, the three of you just jumped in the Tesla and drove over.
Right. Yeah.
So, so as long as you think you, the three of you think Natalie's car will be alright for a little bit, you guys can leave it in the parking lot. So,
Yeah, it should be okay.
because you are definitely within walking distance of Washington Square Park. And you guys get there. It's a fairly large park surrounded by a large um, cast iron fence with a double arch gate that says Washington Square Park above it. And to be 3:30 in the morning roughly, the park is surprisingly busy.
It is New York. Isn't that like a city that never sleeps or something? Or is that Chicago?
No, that's actually Vegas.
Ah, okay.
But um, even though Vegas is 3 million, New York is 6 times that.
Yeah.
So, um, and the four of you walk into the park and you see a little bit of everything going on. Homeless people, people playing music,
Probably a drug deal or two going down.
definitely. Yeah, couple of prostitution things happening. There's even a legitimate couple having sex not far from you. They're like in their early 20s and it's 3 in the morning, so they're like, who cares? Um,
Hey, we could grab a quick snack and they wouldn't even notice.
and you see a security guard or two wandering around from time to time. Oddly enough, whatever's going on, they don't notice.
Yeah. I don't see anything.
They're just there to make sure that, you know, nobody commits any violent crime or defaces the park or anything like that. Other than that, they let people do what they want to do. And the old man uh, gets your attention just after you walk through the gate and points to a little grove of trees to your left and starts heading that way. What do the three of you guys do?
I'll motion for Natalie and Dexter to come on and I'll follow the hill guy.
Um, so You catch up to the old man just as he enters the small grove of trees. And oddly enough, if you turn and look out of the grove of trees, you can't see anything. It's black. He motions you over and points to this blanket that definitely looks like there's a human shape underneath. Excuse me. He lifts the blanket, and what you're looking at is a male in his early 30s that look like this man would have looked 40 years ago, with one major exception. There are symbols drawn on various parts of his body, and it looks like they were drawn with his own blood. And the odd thing is, it looks as it looks fresh, like it was done today, but that body's been there for 3 days. You've known about it that long.
Is the body itself decomposing at all like it would be a 3-day-old dead body, or does it look fresh as well?
There, there's no sign of decomposition at all. He looks almost exactly the way he would have looked the day that he died. The clothes he's wearing uh, uh, aren't even um, they don't even look any different.
I look at the old guy and I'm like, well, you're right. This is something I've never dealt with before. Um, you you said you saw what did this. What was it? I mean, what did it or they or whatever look like? Do you know what it was?
He says, that's the strange part. It was two ladies about my age, or at least they looked about my age. And to my knowledge, my grandson had no beef with them whatsoever,
And you said they weren't vampires, or you don't think they were.
unless vampires can do magic. No,
And I just remembered that was something I was going to ask Tanner, and I forgot to. So I'll have to, next time I talk to him, I'll have to ask him about that.
because when they killed him, they were a good 15 feet away from him.
And you have no idea why they killed him, or even if he knew these people at all?
It, it happened so fast that I didn't get a chance to say anything. They just walked up on him, held their hands, held one hand out. Each of them held a hand out, and the other hand was clasped together. And the next thing I know, he's laying on the ground. And one of them takes a knife from her bag and proceeds to do what you see there.
See you standing there watching them, or they ignored you entirely?
Apparently, they were so concentrating on what they were doing that they didn't even notice me.
And then I tell him, we actually have been told there was another death in the park earlier today or tonight that could be connected. I'm wondering if it's the same sort of thing as what happened to your grandson here. Maybe we are going to have to go to the morgue after all. I'd sort of like to get a look at that body.
It might be because not only did they not notice me, they didn't notice me moving the body. So, from their point of view, they did all that work and the body disappeared.
Are we even sure this is a body? He looks so fresh for having been dead 3 days. Are we sure he's dead?
Hmm.
Dead?
I did a little research on the symbol that they cut into him. What research I could find, and apparently, at least some of the symbols slow decomposition, or at least are rumored to. And I think we found the answer because he didn't look that good when he was alive.
So he is dead, dead. He's not going to, like, get up and as a zombie and start eating people's brains or anything, is he?
Not unless there's a seriously delayed reaction.
So, with the distant, the distance killing and the symbols, I'm wondering, are we dealing with witches here? Is there some sort of witchcraft cult in New York? I
Hmm.
wouldn't be the slightest bit surprised.
The, the old man smiled, show, shows you a wrist under one sleeve of his jacket that has a tattoo on it. Says, I know a little bit about that.
Oh, do you think that's what we're dealing with here then?
Possibly. Um, and then you realize, because you try to look out over the park again, and you can't see anything. I mean, it's darker than dark. And he's like, who do you think did that?
You?
I didn't want them to come back for the body.
So
Oh,
I'm going to assume that you're being honest with us and that you didn't actually do this to your grandson yourself.
no, he could be he could be an annoying little shit, but I wouldn't do that.
And you've never seen these two women you saw that night before?
No,
As I look at Dex and that, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely something we need to tell Tanner about.
yeah,
Even though it doesn't seem to be vampire related, it's something he would want to know. Besides, he wanted us to tell him what we found anyway.
right.
And I'd still like to see if we can somehow get into the morgue and take a look at the body from tonight and see if it's a similar kind of thing.
Dex is like, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
I mean, I can call Tanner while we're on our way there and tell him that that's what we're going to do, but just give him a heads up on what we found so far.
And you can tell him to meet us there. Um, the old man is like, does anybody else need to look at this before I have the body removed from here?
Well, I'm thinking if the other body's similar, Tanner can look at that one, and if we look at it and it's not similar, then we can bring him back to take a look. So you might want to wait on the removal till tomorrow night or tomorrow.
Actually, Natalie's like, uh, got an easier way. We can take pictures. We have our phones.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even think of that.
Technology, as annoying as it is, most of the time, sometimes it actually does what it's supposed to do. And so she whips out her brand new iPhone 13.
Damn, Nat's got money.
Yeah,
Got a Tesla, an iPhone 13. Shit.
and it's, you know, the larger version. And she goes, now, you and Dex have to get out of the way because you won't show up in the picture anyway.
True.
You will, however, make it fuzzy.
And Dex is probably like, wait, what? No more selfies?
Oh, Dex spends his time taking pictures of motorcycles
Uh,
with an occasional girl in a bikini on them. Dex is, or was, an attractive guy. He didn't have a problem finding girls. Yeah. You put an attractive guy on a Harley and, you know, girls chase him. Um, so the two of you move backward, and Natalie starts clicking pictures from every conceivable angle. And after she's done about a dozen of them, she's like, that should do it. The old man says, good. Now I can take the illusion down and take the body home. Whoever this was, I hope they didn't do the same thing to the other person in the park you were talking about.
well, we're gonna find that out.
Hmm. So I'm gonna take my grandson home now. So good luck to you. And you see him move his arm palm up, and you see the body float up off the ground. And he walks away, and the body follows. It just floats.
And do all the other people in the park see this? Because
Yeah. He, he turns back to you and goes, I'm 70. I don't care. Yeah. And if I can do this, what is anybody going to do to me?
half of them probably think they're having bad trips anyway.
Yeah, really. So, so you come out of the little grove of trees. Give me a wit and intelligence roll.
Wits and intelligence, okay. Okay, that's a not two nines, a 10, a 2, 3, and a 4.
Re- Tens explode, so re-roll them.
Reroll the 10, or
Yeah,
reroll everything.
the 10.
Okay, that's a 2.
So you got 3 successes. The 2 9s and the 10.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to notice at the far end of the park 2 police cars and a rescue unit. And your assumption that that's probably where the body of the jogger is.
Oh, I assumed it happened earlier enough that it would already be in the morgue. It just happened recently.
It just happened slightly before Cornelius
Oh,
showed up.
okay.
And you know how police investigations go. Takes them hours to do them.
Oh, okay.
If there's a car accident in Vegas that causes a fatality, the highway, the street it's on is closed down from 4 to 6 hours while the police investigate. So New York would be even worse.
Mm.
So
Yeah, well, they're probably not going to let us anywhere near where they are. I mean, uh, the general public's not supposed to be hanging around crime scenes. Maybe Tanner can help us find an inn. You know, maybe one of the cops is a vampire. That would be handy. But
yeah,
so
in
so I
this
think
in this city this big, you never know who is or isn't.
so I think what I should do first is call Tanner, let him know what we've found so far, and ask him if he can join us here.
As you describe what happened to the other body, he's like, damn, yeah, they had to get involved in this.
Who had to?
So, do you straight out ask him if there's, you know, where the magic comes from?
Well, it sounds like he knows who this is, so I'm just gonna straight out ask him that. But
Um,
who had to get involved? Who are you referring to, or what?
he's like, I keep forgetting you're fairly new to this too. Um, there are 5 different groups you're the vampires can be connected with. You're connected with Invictus or the Invictus.
Mm, right?
Um, the Order Dracul are scientists, but they're scientists that do ritual magic.
Ah,
Then there's the Circle of the Crone, which is vampires who do magic but gravitate more toward natural magic, like witchcraft and such, if you want to call it that. Even the like Lycia Sanctum, which is the, for lack of a better term, vampire version of the Catholic Church. Even they have their own rituals that they do. But
So the chances are this is a vampire thing then.
yeah, uh, this reminds me more of the Circle of the Crone than anything. Why would they attempt a ritual of sacrifice in the middle of an open park?
Not once, but twice, possibly.
I will be there in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Uh, try and see if
Wait
you
a minute.
try and see
Yes?
if you can see anything. Uh, if you can see the body at all.
Okay, we'll attempt. You mentioned sacrifice. Sacrifice to or for what exactly?
That that I would have to see the markings for. Uh, I don't want to make a guess and be wrong.
Well, that brought lots of pictures of the body, and if there's any chance we can see the second one, you can see for yourself.
Yeah. So, yeah. You guys see what you can see, and I'll be there in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
He hangs up. And Dexter's like, hold it. We've got gangrel issues with some guy from the deep south in some fancy suit wandering around wanting to know what's going on. We've got somebody lurking around in the shadows watching what you're doing.
Well, at least once. I haven't had that feeling since of being watched, so.
And now we have a body, maybe two, with magical symbol in blood on them being set up for some sort of ritual sacrifice.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
How in the hell did we walk into this mess?
That I couldn't tell you. I'm wondering the same thing myself, Dex. So, do either of you have any idea how to get in and take a look at the second body?
Well, hmm. Uh,
I don't think unless one of those cops or one of the EMTs is a vampire, we have a chance in hell of getting close to it.
well,
And I'm not going to just randomly attack a police officer in order to.
well, no. Uh, he just, he's like, why don't you go up there? Or one of the two of you go up there and act like a grieving relative that just found out about this.
Before we decide which one of us does that, though, we would have to find out whether the woman that was killed is black or white. Because if they're white and Nat goes up and acts like a grieving relative, they'd be like, what the fuck? So we need that information.
For that matter, she could walk up and be like, I reported my girlfriend missing 3 days ago.
That's true.
And then bam. So either
Well,
one.
either of us could do that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be relative.
So give me a emotion and uh manipulation.
Okay, emotion. You mean empathy? I don't
Uh,
see an emotion on here.
uh, uh, Empathy works. Empathy and manipulation.
All right. Wow, two threes and a seven.
You weren't incredibly convincing. So the EMT is trying to get you out of the way, but you do uh, give me a wits and intelligence roll.
Okay. 10, a 9, a 6, a 4, and two twos.
Reroll the 10.
8.
So you got a 8, a 9, and a 10 that apply. So that's 3 successes. Um, as you're being forcibly escorted by the um, EMT, before he gets you all the way out of the area, you are able to see, uh, you are able to take a quick glance at the body before they cover it up. And from what you, from the part of the body that you can see, there are 3 similar um, for lack of a better term, carvings on this body is that are identical to the one on the other body. It looks like what happened here, because there's a couple of stray knife marks. What happened here is somebody was in process of completing this and got scared away. But they did do the important part, which is kill the jogger before they started carving. So you have at least 3 markings on both bodies that are the same. It pretty much confirms that the same person did both of them. And you're assuming that they went after this jogger because they lost their first victim. Yeah, because they go back to the grove of trees where they found it and they don't see anything but darkness. They can't see through it. So they assume that they lost their main target and they lost their secondary target because the girl will get up and be able to walk away. Um, or she was able to get up and walk away because just like something scared them away the first time, something scared them away the second time. The only difference being, the only 2 differences being the symbols weren't complete on the second body. And the second thing is, it looks like she was killed by having her throat cut in a very sloppy manner because whatever scared them off panicked them, and before they left they just killed her. So that's basically what you're looking at. And there's blood everywhere, which means this one had taken a bit because if it was brand new, it'd be still coming out of the body. And it's not. There's just blood everywhere. So what do you do?
Well, I guess we'll just wait for Tanner to show up and show him the pictures from the first body and confirm that the second one appears to be the same. Only the second one was not killed by magic, but had their throat cut. So I'm not sure it's the same, but the symbols are exact. So chances are it is the same people or whatever they are, vampires.
Um, about, yeah, as he said, about 10 to 15 minutes, and he walks up next to Dexter, and you come back from where you were snooping around. The rescue unit EMT is like, sorry, ma'am, but you cannot be in the uh, crime scene area. That's why he escorted you back over to where your friends were. Tanner sees you and goes, so what were you able to find out tonight?
Well, we're able to find out that both victims are apparently victims of the same person or persons. Uh, Two older women, from what we understand, is what we're looking for. And I'll tell him that to show him the picture she took on her phone. And then I'll tell him that the second victim had identical markings carved into her.
Or at least some of them.
Yeah.
They didn't get to complete all of them. Um, he's like, he looks at the pictures on your phone and goes, I was hoping I was wrong.
You're not wrong, I'm assuming.
No. This is Circle of the Crone's work. Because Ordo Dracul, their entire existence is wanting to create more knowledge and find more knowledge. They're actually scholars that it's an odd combination. They're vampire scholars that are obsessed with dragons. Yeah. So they wouldn't have done anything like this. But Order of the Crone, or Circle of the Crone, excuse me, this is definitely something they would do. Especially if they're getting ready for a major ritual. They need sacrifices for.
What kind of ritual would that be?
You know, they're I'm only speculating here, but the only thing you can do with a ritual like this is raise something that's already dead. Hmm.
Well, technically, we all fit into that category.
Yeah, true. Even they do, which means if they're trying to raise something, it's bigger, stronger, and meaner than we are. Because if it takes doing that, and he points to the picture, if it takes doing that to somebody, yeah,
So, whatever they're trying to do, I think we had better stop it before it happens, if at all possible.
I agree.
Now, you said you had Invictus people who could infiltrate and spy. Maybe you should send a couple of them into wherever the order, the circle of the crone vampires tend to congregate or hang out, and see if they can find anything, find out any information about what's going on.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Um, Found out something else by doing a little snooping around the neighborhood myself. Apparently, the Maquette are interested in you.
For what purpose?
You know, that's the difficult part. Maquette's claim to fame, and usually what they are most likely used for by the other clans is they're quite good at spying and working in the shadows and behind the scenes and finding things out.
What could they want with me? I've only been in New York for a couple of years.
Don't know. But what I do know is through another Invictus person in the neighborhood, the what was watching you the other night with a maquette spy. Why they were there, we don't know yet. But it seems like almost every clan has some little piece of this, whatever this happens to be. You got gangrels and maquettes, and you three are Davis, and then you got, you know, Circle of the Crown, uh, the Lycius Sanctum, and whatever this Lucian guy and his gangrels are connected with. It seems like everything is circling around your club.
Yeah, I don't understand that personally.
Well, it's my best guess is it's almost neutral territory. All the me- members of all the clans can go there and talk and dance and drink and, you know,
Right.
because you don't, you know, kick anybody out just for whatever clan they belong to.
No, just if they. Most of the people that kicked out are actually drunk and unruly
Well,
humans.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so in an odd way, the club, like I said, is almost neutral territory, which means if not you yourself personally, whatever's going down is probably going to be discussed in your club at some point by whoever's doing it. And on top of that, now you have Cornelia's interested in the place, which is never a bad idea, but
I was going to say that could be a good thing, actually.
so your club is becoming a focal point for the vampire neighborhood in the city. So, which is a good thing for the most part. You just end up here and there having little issues like this one. So,
Now, if human me had heard a few years, 5, 6 years ago that I'd own a club that would become a focal point in the vampire community, I would have been so thrilled.
yeah, that's because at the time you wouldn't have known what was going to come along with that.
It's true.
because you are basically going to become the Invictus's version of a maquette because it's your club. You overhear things.
Exactly. And not only me, but I mean, that's the bartender. She's going to overhear a lot of things.
Yeah. And then that gets reported to me. And then I reported to the prince. And who knows what happens. But I have a feeling you may end up doing more of this than you originally thought. Because if you do a good job, impress the prince more than he already is, you can end up in royal court.
That would be interesting. I mean, to be honest, I was surprised that he invited us to his birthday party after meeting us, like, for a few minutes.
You know, he's not afraid of anybody or anything, so it's not like he's worried about you doing something.
Oh, I wasn't thinking so much that. It's just, I mean, I didn't think we'd hold any interest for him, actually, was my thought.
Well, part of it was that he holds quite a bit of interest in, quote, normal people. Um, I would be careful with spices around him because uh, being the prince, he has to be really careful about what he eats or who he eats. More to the point, it's more of a political thing. You know, you accidentally feed on the wrong person, sort of thing. So, uh, but all in all, the prince is pretty nice unless you like physically try and hurt him. So I'm sure the party will be fairly nice and polite. I'm sure you guys won't have anything to worry about as long as you can keep him on the floor, unconscious on the floor. The guy that walked up next to you in the park, there have been several people milling around that are trying to find out the same thing that you are. So while you're having the conversation about the print, couple of other people have tried to walk up, and the police have had to push them back. One guy even attacked one of the police officers, and the police officer shot him in the knee at close range, and he's bleeding out in the grass. He made it as far back as next to you. And Tanner looks over. See? Yeah. That's Maquette like was following you, but he has a Lycia Sanctum patch on his jacket. So even the church, the quote, church, is involved in this somewhere. So you can never be too careful. And with that, Tanner's like, well, I think we've seen all we really need to see here.
Is there anything else you need us to do other than just listen around at the club and see if we can hear any bits of information to pass along?
That's enough for now. If something else uh, more urgent comes up, we'll discuss it. Um, yeah, yeah. Be a little bit more careful, because if there's maquettes and gangrels wandering around the neighborhood in general, and he means like the park and your club and your house and that general area, uh, they want something from you, or they wouldn't be targeting you the way they are, or at least the way they seem to be. So, till we're able to find out what that is, just be a little bit more careful.
We'll try.
And with that, he says good night to the three of you, heads back to his car, which he has parked on the other side of the park. What do the three of you want to do?
Well, Nat had mentioned something about teaching Dex and me how to hunt.
That's true. Um, uh, I'd say you've got maybe an hour before you should be back at your apartment. She says, Um, we could even do it on the other side of the park. We don't want to be anywhere near where the police are right now.
No.
See, there's one as you're walking to the other side of the park. She's like, there's one really important uh, factor to making hunting easy, and that is make the person you're hunting believe you are just a normal human who happened to overhear something they said, and now you're interested in whatever they're talking about, whether it's booze, food, sex, whatever. And the more you can make them believe that they're that you're interested, the easier it is for them to become distracted, and then and and when you get good at this whole process, the build-up process takes about 2 minutes. And she goes, I'll show you.
Yes, I was going to suggest we watch you first.
And she walks up to this very pretty redhead that's sort of laying on the ground, just sort of lounging. And she plops down right beside the girl and, starts up a conversation. I noticed your red hair from all the way over there. And she starts flirting with this girl. And using her presence ability, she basically, this girl becomes almost instantly enamored with her. Yeah. And they spend maybe 30 seconds to a minute making out. Not very long at all. And the next thing you see is, yeah, Natalie drinking from the side of this girl's neck. Until the girl falls unconscious. And Natalie looks up at you, you know, blood on her fangs, and goes, see, that didn't take much.
And I'm assuming the goal is not to kill people, right?
No,
'Cause, yeah, that one took me a while to figure out. For when I was first turned, I thought we had to kill, and that's what I did for quite a while.
she says there are 3 levels of feeding, basically. There's feeding to turn somebody. There's feeding to feed. And then there's feeding to drain somebody.
Well, you know, all the vampire books I read when I was human talked about them, you know, draining people right and left. I thought that was just what we were supposed to do, was drain people and kill them. Actually, it took one of my victims to tell me that didn't have to happen. And, well, I learned that from her. So.
It's, no, you don't take advice about something from somebody who doesn't actually do it. So, uh, the turning is the first level, feeding is the second level, and then draining is the third level. The second level is just taking slightly more than what it would take to turn somebody. And so,
So when she wakes up, she'll be all right.
yeah, she'll just be really weak and lightheaded, and, you know,
Maybe we should carry cookies around to give to people after we feed them.
she's like,
You know, like they do at blood banks when you give blood, they give you juice and cookies. Maybe we should do
she's like, there are blood banks that hand out slices of pizza. What are you gonna do? Carry pizzas around in a backpack? Come on.
that. Just cookies.
Uh, so you have this unconscious person laying there with this small pile of cookies next to them.
Right.
Yeah, okay. You can, you can do that if you want to. Yeah, you. I can just see it. You're sitting there making out with them, and all of a sudden, you ask them what their favorite cookie is, and they're horribly distracted by that, and that's when you attack. And suddenly, when they wake up, they have this strange urge for whatever their favorite cookie is. She's like, take that couple over there. It's the couple you saw earlier, the couple in their 20s that were actually having sex when you walked into the park. They're still doing so, by the way. There's soda bottles and a picnic basket and all this stuff. So they've obviously taken a food break from round one and are moving into round two. Um, Natalie's like, these kind of things are the best in the world. They're distracted with each other. You don't even have to do anything. Like, you take the girl and Dex takes the guy, and before they know it, it's done. So, the two of you, how about the two of you try that? and I'll hang out just a little bit behind you and watch and make sure you do it properly.
Okay.
So, so you and Dex, basically, one of you kneels on either side of them. Currently, the guy's on top and the girl's on the bottom. And Dex just sort of taps the guy on the shoulder and he looks up and Dex sort of rolls him over where he's not on her anymore. And before the guy has a chance to notice what he's doing, Dexter basically bites down on the guy's neck. Now, your job is to do the same thing with the girl before she has a chance to see what's happening to her boyfriend.
Right. Well, yeah, so I should go for her as soon as Dexter moves him off of her. I'll go in for her neck, like immediately, so before she even has a chance to know what's going on.
And so the two of you do that, and you see their eyes start to flutter to close, and Natalie's like, okay, that's good. They're unconscious, but they're still alive. So that's pretty much your signal. When their eyes roll back in their head and their eyelids close, that's when it's time to stop because they've lost consciousness. And if you go any further, you'll kill them. Unless, given the situation, that's what you intend to do. Which, if you are in combat, that is acceptable. But if you're just feeding, or and you don't want to turn them into a vampire, that's where you stop. And at that point, Dex stands back up, and you see this really big smile on his face. He's like, why didn't you tell me it felt like that?
This is much better than just like what I used to do is run around and attack people from behind. Get a lot of people fighting back when you do that.
Uh, Natalie's like, it's much easier to befriend them and distract them than to try and jump them.
Yes, much. That's why the whole kitty dinner thing came about.
Natalie's like, well, now you don't have to do that.
No, human blood tastes better anyway.
And
There's more of it.
shall I say, you have a walking restaurant every night. You just have to be careful.
Yeah, I just realized a perfect thing to do would be to find someone in the park who's, throwing a stick for a dog or something, playing with a dog, and just walk up to them and start talking about their pet. Oh, I love dogs. What's his name? He's so
Yeah.
cute. And talk about that, and then
And Natalie says, when you're better at this and you find somebody that you really like, you can keep them.
keep them
Yes.
like in a cage.
No. Once you feed off of them, they will become enthralled with you and they will stay with you. If you if you tell them they can't, and then they will let you feed off of them from time to time. There is a name for that, but it's skipping my brain at the moment. And you can have two or three or four of them, so you don't necessarily have to keep feeding off the same one. The way I've seen it done is roommates. You start out as roommates and then eventually they're somewhat more than roommates, if you know what I mean. Like the elderly couple in the market, she's a vampire. He's human. He's a ghoul because she gave him some of her blood where every so often she feeds him and he stays connected to her. And from what the outside world knows, they're just an elderly couple that's been married for ever and a day.
I sort of laugh and I'm like, well, I don't know. I think I've got my hands full enough with you two.
Well, I'm just, I'm just saying there are multiple options. Um, and ghouls make nice servants. Like if we ever need more help around the club, they come in handy. Though I don't know if I want to see a ghoul try to dance. I think that would be bad. Just slightly better than a zombie trying to dance. At least a ghoul wouldn't lose body parts.
Yeah, that would be a little messy.
So I- I'm just saying that there's, you know, many things that neither of you know of quite yet. If you really wanted to learn something, you should sit down and corner Cornelius for an hour or two. That guy could tell you some stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
400 years. God knows what he's done and had to do.
Right, well, do we really want to know is the question.
Because that's what? That'd be 16. He was turned in 1622. Long time ago.
Yes.
Things were way different back then. You get burned at the stake back then. So, I bet you we go to this dinner, his birthday party. He's got some stories.
Oh, that would be fascinating, actually.
Yeah. So, you guys casually get up and walk out of the park. The three people that you fed on are unconscious, and when they wake up, they'll be a little weak, they'll have a headache, and there'll be a couple of bite marks on their neck, but they won't realize who or what did it or why they're feeling the way they are.
I'm definitely going to start carrying little plastic baggies of Oreos around in my purse to leave a couple of the people I feed on.
Well, Natalie's like, don't let it, you know, don't let people see you do it because then they'll know it's you that's leaving the cookies and, you know.
Conscious, they're not going to see me, and I'll make sure no one else sees.
I'm just saying, you don't want to leave a way for them to identify you.
You know, I'm assuming we don't leave fingerprints.
No, we don't have finger.
Exactly. So,
The only way you would get into major trouble is if somebody saw you do it and then leave the baggie of cookies. Then then they'd be like, I'm gonna track these cookies that have been,
I'll make sure that doesn't
yeah.
happen. I'll be careful.
Do it as a trademark like a serial killer does. Leave one Oreo cookie at every site. The not the big ones, the little the little tiny ones.
I could even just I could leave it in their hand, and if anyone saw me, I could just say, "Well, I saw this person unconscious here, and I was just checking for a pulse. You know, I they wouldn't have to see me put anything in their hand. I could just be, yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing if they're alive.
And
Mine are unconscious.
these days, checking somebody's blood sugar not an uncommon thing. So giving them a cookie or something, you can be like, well, their blood sugar dropped. They passed out. So I'm giving them a cookie. So, and you guys head back to the club and pick up Natalie's Tesla. And you got,
Good, it's still there, hasn't been keyed or broken into. That's a good thing.
no,
You
which
sold it.
is a little strange for that neighborhood. Um, give me another intelligence and wits roll.
That is a 9, 2 eights, 2 5s, and a 2.
So you get 2 successes that time. And nothing to take away from that. So, as you're climbing in the car, you turn your head and you definitely see in the shadows on the corner of the club behind the car, you definitely see two middle-aged men standing, and they do not look like the type that would go into your club. But before they notice you and disappear into the shadows, this time you notice them. And then when you turn your head to mention it to either one of your friends and then look back, they're gone. So Natalie starts the car. In about 5 minutes, you're home. And the three of you plop down on the sofa in the living room and with your prerequisite. Well, no, you don't need your prerequisite mug of blood anymore because the three of you are quite full. It's part of the reason you plop down on the sofa. And
So I have to remember to tell Tanner that I think I saw a couple more maquettes on my ass.
yeah, and
It's probably pretty close to sunrise now, though, so I should probably wait till tomorrow morning or tomorrow night.
you saw them well enough that you can actually describe them to him. So, and the three of you take a few minutes to sort of decompress and talk about everything that's happened tonight. It's been it's been a day, as they would say. Yeah, from dead bodies to hunting to finding out people are watching you to meeting the prince. All of that in one night. So, and being invited to the prince's birthday party, you're like, what the hell am I gonna wear to that? You and Natalie are both like that. It's like, what the hell do you wear to a prince's birthday party? Dexter's like, I'm good. Leather always works. I'm good. Uh, and then the three of you realize how tired you are, and Dexter says goodnight and heads off to his room. And you and Natalie walk into your room and plop down on the bed. And before you know it, you're both unconscious because your brain is just exhausted from everything. And that's where we'll leave it tonight. So, did you have fun?
It was fun.
Um, I'll throw the card up for all of our social media in a second. Um, check out the other vampire episodes to catch up on how they got to where they are, how they got in the mess they're now in. Um, and all of the vampire episodes now actually have links that if you click on them, they'll connect to Robin's books on Amazon. Um, I'm doing them a chunk at a time because there's 85 videos on the channel and it takes a while to get to all of them. But I think the first dozen videos have your links on them now.
Oh, cool.
So, in the description, by the way, because that's the only way they'll let you do it.
Yeah, they kept kicking them off when I
Yeah,
tried to put them in the comments.
right. But check those out. And you're going to have a new one out here pretty soon.
Yep.
So everybody needs to add that to their Christmas list. So, um, but, yeah, check us out on Discord and all of our other social media and our Facebook and Twitter and all that. And give the video a like and subscribe when it comes out, which will be within the next 48 hours or so. Uh, our subscriber total is inching up, and I like seeing that, so everybody needs to keep doing it. um, we'll be back on Sunday with either another vampire episode or a Fallen Dragons episode, depending on who's available to play. Uh, the Fallen Dragon party's about to get themselves killed, but, you know,
Great.
it's the way things go with D&D. find out what's going on with poor innocent Connie because her brain is definitely having issues lately.
Connie's gone.
Yeah, she ran off last week,
Yeah, literally gone.
right? Yeah. So if we can get our 3 players for that, we'll be doing that. So on Sunday.
And if not, you're stuck with me.
Well,
I'm always here.
there's enough going on in this game that, yeah, this is just the slow build up for this. So,
Oh. Well, at least I know I can't die in this because I'm already dead.
well, that that's questionable too. There are ways you can die, but hopefully you won't, because the prince likes your club, so that'd be a bad thing. So, um, I think that's about it for tonight. So, we'll say good night, and I'll put up the card where you can follow us and get a hold of us. So,
See you next time.
bye.